such a thing as a wish come true. I would wish for you to love me just as much as I love you.
I am Mildred. I am the keynote speaker for this wonderful event. I was the Presidential Award recipient last year, and this year I'm the keynote speaker. I'm so excited to be here to share information about domestic violence, how 80% of victims do not have physical scars to prove that they're victims. Also to share my story that my ex-husband was John Al Muhammad, the DC sniper. So moving forward, we're going to have a great event, and I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you.
Domestic violence, or causes that are about helping abused women escape their circumstances and get a fresh start, is a very worthwhile endeavor. And because this is becoming rampant in our country today, particularly in communities that are represented by low income and minority women, it's important that we take a stand and unite to make certain that we are creating options for these women so that they can also recapture their dignity and get a fresh start in life.
Hello, my name is Raymond Mickens, here with my wife Brenda Mickens, and we're here to support the domestic violence with my cousin Lorraine Mickens.
Hello, Mr. B. I'm here also celebrating the empowerment of domestic violence for women that have been challenged by this particular outreach, and we all are here to engage on the support of that situation. And we're going to have a good time tonight, all right? We'll be entertained by Motif, which is Brenda Mickens, myself, Mr. B, and we hope everybody have a good time.
Hi, my name is Brenda Mickens, and we're looking forward to a wonderful event at this Domestic Violence Awards Dinner Luncheon. We're just here. We are glad to be here and celebrating with the women here today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alnisa Barnes, and I'm here today to support Lorraine and her organization. Thanks for having me, and thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I am so thrilled to be one of the honorees here at Circle of Rainbow Sisters Luncheon in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. My name is Annette McDonald, and I am the founder and CEO of Access Family Services in Essex County, New Jersey. I'm extremely thrilled today because behind me there are pillows that we will be offering today for sale. These pillows are very special because they were designed and made by the families we serve at our 15-bed facility that houses victims who are fleeing from domestic violence and sexual violence as well. Access Family Services serves not only the victims, but we also serve the offenders, perpetrators of domestic violence. We have a batterer intervention program as well as other outreach services, counseling that we offer for the families. But today, I just want to say again that I am honored and pleased that I'm here with all the other honorees, Aziza Kabibi, Mrs. Mohammed, and Miss Alameen. Again, if you are looking for information, if you know someone who is a victim of domestic violence, please call the local domestic violence hotline, or you can reach Access Family Services at 862-520-3937. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephen Riley. We are Motif. We're here in support of women against domestic violence. I play alto sax and soprano sax.
I am Mike Mickens, musical director, bass player. We are a new unit, so Today is one of our newest outings. We'll see how it goes.
Hi, Brenda Mickens here, one of the lead vocalists for Motif, and we're here supporting domestic violence awareness today.
Hello, I'm Bernard, Mr. B. Hill of Motif. We are a unit that's out supporting the gala for empowerment for domestic violence. And we're out having a good time, and we hope that you will too.
Thank you.
Contact sriley03@gmail.com if for any bookings. sriley03@gmail.com.
Good evening. I want to thank you all for coming out to our event, and I do apologize for our delay, but we'll make it up to you during the end with the dancing and singing and all the great entertainment that we have for you tonight. I'd like to have Anna Miranda come up and do our welcome invocation prayer. Can we all please stand?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful day and for bringing us together in a spirit of stewardship to support the Circle of Rainbow Sisters seeking spiritual and wellness connection in the support of the abused women's group. We pray for those who inflict spiritual, physical, and emotional hardships upon others, for those who are currently in abusive relationships, for those who are coming out of domestic violence, and for those who haven't yet recognized that they are one of the victims of domestic violence. Please provide for them with the spirit of faith and forgiveness to discern your love for each of them and give them the courage to step out of their situation and find assistance through our program. We especially pray for the Abused Women's Committee, chaired by Dr. Kimberly Rowland and Shakira Campbell-Huggins, Lisa Williams, and Lorraine Ulmer, that you grant them the mercy and compassion to assist these women and men in need. Please bless Maritza Brown, who continues to have a huge vision for the Circle of Rainbow Sisters seeking spiritual and wellness connection, that we may, as a team, continue to support her and do it in the spirit of oneness for your greater glory. In your name we ask. Amen. Amen. Help me introduce Dr. Kimberly Rowland, who's the chairperson of the Abused Women's Network.
I'd like to start off with having a message from our president, Maritza Brown. Good afternoon. Welcome. It's a beautiful day. It was so cold yesterday. I actually thought I needed a winter coat, but I'm going to go in the middle of the floor. I don't want to feel like I'm at a podium, okay? Can you hear me? Yes. Everyone can hear me, right? Yes. I am humbled by this cause, the Abused Women Support. And the reason I'm humbled is many women have not voiced that they were still in abusive relationship, and they didn't have the support network that we need for them. I am extremely proud of this committee. The chairperson, the two co-chairs, Shakira Huggins. Do you mind coming up, ladies? I want to make this all-inclusive, because it's through the power and the grace that each of these women have. Lisa, all the members that are here, these are this. So my heart pours out to each and every one of them.
because they are consistent. These 4 women have been consistent in making this organization, this committee, this cause, part of their daily. We're not talking once a month. We're talking their daily life. And I love each and every one of them. That makes my heart tremble, right? So when they say the president's no, it's a committee. And because of powerful women, like these 4 women and one that's missing, right? The one member is not here? Okay, they're looking, so she's here in spirit. But it takes a team to accomplish what they have accomplished. And they're all fully employed, family, husband, home to take care of, and they find time to make this happen. To influence compliance, to influence women who are afraid to take that step out and unmask domestic violence. I love what you're doing. I love you all. There are some other members that are here because that's what makes this organization successful. It's women giving from the heart, right? It's giving from the heart. When a person gives from the heart, you listen and you come. That's what made you come out today. You may have come out because someone invited you, but you come out from the heart. Pat, because I'm actually flying to Spain in a few hours, so I'm going to be in and out. Denise, Mildred, please stand up. Please stand up. Maggie Adolphe, I love you. Please stand up. Linda Sylvester, please stand. So these are other members of the organization. And my Vice President, Anna Miranda, I love you, Dr. Stand up. I am telling you right now that these women give unconditionally. Why? When I say unconditionally, they're not being paid. No one's getting a salary. But yet still they are there. They're steadfast. Denise, I love you because you were on board from the beginning. Linda, you came and you made Women Who Rock, and you've made the Recognition and Appreciation Award a success. When you go to our website, Maggie made that happen. Okay, so Maggie contributed to our website. And I just want to say for women, and you share this, you have to speak to other women. When they say something to you, encourage them to do something about it, right? Because the silent voice doesn't go anywhere. But you have to show compassion, let them know you're there. That phone call, that will make it happen. Just encourage them that they don't have to stay in those relationships. They don't have to succumb because the rent has to be paid, right? Women stay in bad situations for reasons, right? And sometimes they love that person unconditionally, but their life and their purpose should take precedence. So I just want to say thank you for coming out to support this particular cause for the organization. We have 3 others, financial literacy for teens, and we also have teen moms. So I want you to stand and give this committee a round of applause because they are making it happen for women. Turn the program back over. Yep.
Okay, so just a little bit about what the committee does. And I say the committee because we're all a team. And there is no I in team. So we all make it happen. Without the ladies that you just saw before you, it would be a problem, right? So what we do is we help women after they've transitioned from shelters. A lot of the women that are in shelters, unfortunately, they don't have the coalition to fight for them after they've left abusive relationships. We empower them. You know why there's no assistance for them afterwards? Can anyone think about why? Exactly. There's no money in it. The money is in the crisis phase. So the shelters, the court system, that's where all the money is. So what happens to those women once they left the shelter? A lot of times shelters are from 30 to 90 days. What happens after that? Some of these women have jobs, some of them don't. And our goal and our mission is to make sure that they don't go back to the situation that they were in the first place. If you only know one thing, you don't have anyone empowering you, you don't have anyone supporting you, you don't have anyone behind you, you don't have any money. Those people end up going back to the abuser, or they end up attracting someone else just like they were in before. We don't want to do that. Being a former victim, I know about it. But the only thing is that I have my own money. You know, my mother always said, save for a rainy day. So when I was able to make that move, I made it. I had a coalition of people. I had my brother, Dr. Kenneth Hamilton, behind me, my family that's sitting over there. I had people supporting and advocating for me. That was the reason why I made it out. I made it out, and I went on to do great things. And I am an advocate of making sure that these women do great things. So that's what we do. What I would like to do is I'd like to introduce you to the CEO founder of the Family Healing Center, Malik Carey. He is also a new author, In My Father's Shoes. I'd like to welcome Malik up to the podium.
Hear me? Good afternoon. My name is Malik Carey, and again, I am here to speak from the domestic violence from a male's perspective. First of all, I just want to thank every last one of you for being here, and also I want to thank this great organization. They came to me about 3 years ago when they were first starting, and I told them I would support them with my dollars, with my time, and when they were first getting started. So from going to Maritza's backyard to where we are today, I would say great accomplishment. So great job, Maritza and the team. Maritza and I had an opportunity to speak down at the jail a couple of weeks ago. I was the keynote speaker on financial literacy. But today is a little more serious of a topic. And from a male perspective, I too, I was an abuser. I abused women. I grew up in a domestic violence home. The first time I experienced domestic violence, I was about 12 years old. And I still remember it to the day, being awakened to a mother screaming. And I ran in the room and heard my stepfather were fighting. And the thing that I remember more than anything was blood, because my mother had reached across the table and hit my stepfather with a telephone, and bust his head open. And literally I saw blood everywhere. And I can still remember that. And it haunted me because I jumped in and I'm a 12-year-old kid trying to fight a grown man. And from that day, that kind of happened often. My stepfather was an alcoholic, and they would fight, right? And so guess what? I picked up fighting. My sister picked up fighting. And we would fight one another. And through that pain and through that experience, I also picked up drugs and alcohol. And I would continue this pattern of violence towards women, and it wasn't often, but when it happened, it happened. You know, putting a hand on a woman is just not acceptable, period. But I had nobody to tell me that, right? When you get into an argument or heated battle because of these experiences, the first thing you know, because of what your environment says, is you go to fight, no matter what it is. And it wasn't until about, I guess, the age 36, I'm a lot older than that now, that I finally realized that it took an experience that rocked my world, and a deep loss, for me to really go get some help. And I did that. I went and got help. I went to counseling, right? That's something that black men don't do, right? I went to counseling, and I sat on a couch with an African-American therapist and a male therapist. And we talked about my pain. right? We talked about those soft spots and those vulnerable spots and how I still felt as a 12-year-old little boy in a 36-year-old body who was defenseless and helpless. And when we talked about that, man, I started to weep like a little boy. And that's when my healing began. When my healing began, I began to heal because there's every little boy, there's a little boy in every man that needs to be healed. And can you read my book? The name of my book is called In My Father's Shoes, Healing the Father Wound. Growing up in an African-American home without my biological father left a lot of damage. No one ever taught me how to treat a woman because my father wasn't there to teach me how to treat a woman. And one of the poems that I wrote in this book, and I will be pre-selling the book. You will get a signed copy of this. But the name of the poem is called If. And the poem goes this way. It says, if you only came with instructions, fragile, handle with care, dear. And if, and only if, I knew how emotional you really were and are. And if, and only if, I had one clue that sex was a physical act, was not a physical act, and your heart was involved too, then maybe, just maybe, I would have known how to love a woman. Growing up in this society from a young age, men are taught that women are hoes. Let's keep it real. Young men, they're bitches, right? These are the things that fellas talk about. When they go out on dates, they don't say, well, how was the date? The first question is, well, did you hit it? Right? These are things that we're taught to our young men. And we have to do a better job, even if you're a single mom, or in finding men who teach men how to value women. And that's the biggest problem, is we've been taught to devalue our queens. And today, I realized that you guys are queens. And that wasn't taught to me. I had an uncle who said to me, and God rest his soul, but he said to me, I was single. He didn't want me to get married. He said, get them all. That's what he told me. You know, so this is what my society and everything was teaching me. And so I never was taught how to value that woman. And that's where the if came in, right? Because if I would have been taught that, then maybe I would have did something better. And so today I spend my life, first of all, teaching my 29-year-old son. And I started teaching him young that you're not hoes and bitches, that you're queens. And that's what you are. And that's our job as men, and I'm speaking to the men in the room. It's our job to teach our young brothers, right? We hear it on the radio. I walked in, I just adopted a 15-year-old girl, and I walked in the room, and one of the songs was on the radio. It was just all bitch, 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 bitch. And I'm like, turn it off, because that's not who you are, right? And so we have to be able to do a better job guarding our children's ears, their eye gates. And you know, this rap music is the worst thing on the planet today. And I grew up in a hip-hop era. It wasn't that way. But we have to do a better job as men, as raising our men to value our women. And when we do that, we'll have a better place. Thank you.
Now I know that you all are hungry, so we're going to have our band come and play while you all go and have something to eat. And then we will start our reward ceremony. Thank you.
Stephen, saxophone, and Miss Brenda, beautiful Mickens.
And she don't know who he is, but he is Mr. B.
But we'd like
you all enjoy yourself.
For everyone to give yourselves a round of applause for being here this evening. It's a very special evening. We thank this committee for doing an outstanding job. And for all the people that we know, the people that we don't know, it's all the same. One circle, one love, one God.
Yeah, and the people that we want to know. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yes, Miss Brenda Mickens, our lead in that song. You ever know that sometimes you're in a relationship and just not going right? Put your hands together, come on. Little Jeffrey Osborne, come on. We were having such a good time, baby. Oh, yes, we were. Then you came on the whole thing, baby. You're wonderful. You told me I'm walking on and on. I'm jealous of somebody else. And even you were right, you right, you said, don't you get so mad about it? Come on, don't you get so mad about it? So mad about it. Don't you get so mad about it? You belong to control. mad about it, oh yeah. Don't you get so mad about it. Don't you get so mad about it, about it. Don't you get so mad about it. Don't you get so mad about it, oh yeah. Don't you get so mad about it. Don't you get so mad about it, get so mad about it. Don't you get so mad about it, baby. Don't you get so mad about it, don't you get so mad about it. Thank you. Did you like that? Somebody say yeah. All right.
Slow it
We
down
are
a little bit for
Do
you.
it again.
We're gonna slow it down just a little bit.
That's my favorite song.
Bring up some little memories now, okay? And if you remember this, say, okay? We want to see how many people can remember the song. Okay?
Yeah.
I can hear you. All right.
Come on, you response better than you know this song. I know something came over me. What it is.
What's wrong with my mind? What's come over me? I thought I saw your face. Told you they remember.
Yeah.
Wearing a smile, dimples on the side. What's come over me? What's come over me?
What's wrong with my ears? They're deceiving me. I thought I heard you speak, calling my name. I must be insane. I just can't explain. What's
What's come over me? Don't tell me I stumbled upon you. Oh, is my mind in daze? 'Cause this can't be as real as I want now. 'Cause you let me go and went away. So confusing. Just look at me now, seems like floating on the cloud. What could this be? What's come over me? What's come over me? Don't wanna let you go now. Oh, baby, baby, baby. Don't you know, baby, that I love you over me, yes, I do. Don't you want to love me too? You see,
I must have gone through changes. When I kissed your picture, but my mind kept wandering. My mind in a daze. But that special kind of feeling makes me wonder. What's come over? What's come over?
I just can't stop.
in love. We still believe in love.
Somebody said do that again. How's the food? Make sure you save me some. Save us some.
Without it, we won't be here, right?
Sounds so good, don't you agree?
That's fine. Come on, let's go. We're gonna do hand clapping music now. I know y'all eating.
You gotta believe this. We're on our way, and there's no stopping us. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Oh. Ain't no stopping us. Yeah. Come on. Let's do it. Ain't no stopping us now. We rolling. Ain't no stopping us now. We got to. Listen up, our people. Listen. There's been so many things that held us down, and now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know you've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. We're gonna let nothing hold us back. We're gonna put ourselves together. Just already now. You've ever been held down before. I know you used to be held down anymore. Well, don't you let nothing Mike Mickens on bass.
Oh, give it time.
Oh, it's not a conspiracy. It's just a Mickens thing. Brenda Mickens on the vocals.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stephen Riley on sax. Let's give him a round of applause. Come on. Yes.
And Mr. B on the lead vocals. Give it time.
And give yourselves a round of applause for being here. Come on. Let's come on. Come on. That was six saxophone. Stephen Riley, let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. All right, let's give another round of applause for that band. Amazing, yes. Okay, here's where the fun stuff starts. Y'all ready? We all love baskets and gifts. Anytime you go to an event, you always want to go home with something, right? Well, we got it. So we've got raffle tickets. We're selling one for $1 and $5 for a
a sleeve. We're raffling a spa basket, a wine basket, and we have several giveaways. So we're gonna do that game that most of the time you hear at like baby showers. If you have a safety pin in your pocketbook, stand up, you win a gift. All right, can I get an amen? Okay, so now I'm gonna be walking around. There's two sets of raffles. We're doing a 50-50. So the winner of the 50-50 wins half of the money goes to you, and the other half goes to the pot, or to the organization. Okay, so two sets of raffles. A 50-50 raffle and a basket giveaway raffle. All right, $1 for one, $5 for a sleeve. We all in? Okay, I'm gonna be walking around, have your money out. Also, on your table, you'll see a donation envelope. We have just started our shelter fund. With that fund, and we just got our first check for $150 to start that fund, okay? With the shelter fund, we're providing furniture, food, clothing. There's one more. Don't charge it to my heart, charge it to my head. But there are 4 different things that will be provided that goes into the shelter fund. And we'll be providing those items to our women who have exited the shelter and going into mainstream society to change their life and turn life around. So we're trying to make it easier for them and give them a jump start. We're providing them with a bedroom set for their children or themselves, living room furniture, utility bills, maybe for a month or 2. These are all the things that we do as an organization to help our women stand strong and stand tall and know that they are worthy. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Shakira. All right, so now we're about to start our program. Before we start to announce our honorees for this evening, but we have a keynote speaker. And she is the ex-wife of the DC sniper, and she's also a domestic violence survivor. She is the author of her acclaimed memoir called Scared Silent, and When the One You Love Becomes the One You Fear. She was a CNN contributor, and has been in blogs and magazines worldwide, including BBC, NPR, Essence, Jet, and the Washington Post, just to name a few. She has been interviewed by Oprah, Larry King Live, The Tyra Banks Show, and Katie Couric, as well as True TV. However, more importantly, she has been recognized as one of the nation's most powerful advocates for victims and domestic violence and survivors in domestic violence. For more information, you can read her bio in your journal, but I'd like to introduce to you Mildred M. Muhammad.
Good afternoon. Oh, that's loud. I would like to thank Kimberly for inviting me to this wonderful event. And for you all to come out to support victims and survivors of domestic violence. Domestic violence is a worldwide epidemic. It is not just in the month of October, although October is recognized as that month by the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. 80% of victims do not have physical scars to prove that they are victims. As a matter of fact, there's a victim, there's a survivor, and there's an abuser in this audience right now. We don't always like to talk about the offenses, 1 to 8 offenses. We concentrate on the 9 to 15 because every 9 to 15 seconds a woman is abused. I'm here to shift your thinking to go back to the number 1. Because the first assault to domestic abuse and violence is a verbal assault. It is what I say to you, and it's how you interpret what I say. John and I were married for 12 years. We have 3 children. The abuse that I suffered was not physical. I did not look at myself as a victim because I hated that word. Because a victim, as in your category, is someone that is pathetic, walking around, always trying to get attention, when actually he or she, because men can be victims too, he or she is asking for help. And instead of helping, we tend to judge, we tend to blame the victim for the behavior of the abuser. So we're quick to ask the victim, why do you stay? But we're slow or not at all to turn that narrative to the abuser and ask, why do you abuse? It's easier to continue to beat down the victim, but it's harder for you to confront the person that is actually abusing the victim. So we need to change that narrative. When John came back from Desert Storm, that's when I noticed a change. He was diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and he was not debriefed. He was in Desert Storm for 3 months. But before he went to Desert Storm, he was the life of the party. Everybody wanted to be around him. But when he got back, he was not attentive. He would rock back and forth in the chair. I'd ask him, honey, you okay? He said, I'm good. So when a man says, I'm good, it's because the environment that he is in is not safe for him to deposit his emotions because he feels it is hostile. So if you're asking your husband or your significant other what's the matter and they say, I'm good, then you know you need to change the environment so that he is able to connect and tell you what's going on with him, as with women, because we're not going to say anything if the environment is not safe either, for fear that if we say something, then it's going to be thrown back in our faces when we're just trying to be honest. So he was in the military, he was a combat engineer, hand-to-hand combat expert shot, and he could make a weapon out of anything. So there are some of y'all in here old enough to remember MacGyver, right? I say some of y'all because they got, you know. So that was John. He was a MacGyver. He could make a weapon out of anything. He wanted to get out of the military, and he did. We started our own business. It's called Express Car Truck Mechanic. It was a mobile auto repair service. We would come to you to fix your car. So he was having multiple affairs with the women because they didn't have, the fathers wasn't in the house, and he felt that he could be a father to all of these children. So I said, you know, I want a divorce. He said, why you want a divorce? I said, you acting free? You may as well be free. Go ahead and do whatever you're gonna do, and that way you don't have to lie to me. You can go do you. So he moved out, but he still had a key to the house. So he would come in the middle of the night. I would hear the key going in the lock and turning. I would lay there with my eye open to a slither and watch him walk in the room from one end of the bed to the other, lean over, listen to me breathe, stand up and leave. He did that 3 times. The 3rd time, our baby girl woke up and she said, Daddy! He picks her up like he's supposed to be there and gives her to me. Here's Talib. So I called to get the locks changed. You know, when you tell your children, you know, mommy's going to get the locks changed because something's wrong with the key. So he comes over and he says to my son, so big man, what's going on? He says, Daddy, mommy's going to get the locks changed. He said, so you're going to get the locks changed, right? I said, yeah, I am. He said, well, what's the matter? I said, well, you know, something wrong with my key. I just need to get them changed. He said, well, you know, something's wrong with my key too. Let me show you. So we go to the door. He tries to put his key in the lock, and it doesn't go in. He said, give me your key. So I takes my key, tries to put it in the lock, and it doesn't go in. He says, see, something is wrong with the lock. I need to go get it changed, and I'll be right back. So when he takes the lock out the door, he turns it, and a straight pin falls out. Wow. So he sabotaged the lock. so that I would think that something was wrong with it, but I didn't tell him that I saw the pin. So he leaves, he doesn't come back. So for 3 days, I take a chair, prop it up against the door to protect me, my mom, and my children. Y'all can't see me? Can y'all see me now? Yes. So that I could protect me and my mom and my children. So one of those nights, I decided to lay on the sofa, and I heard a key go in and the door open, and I went and hid, and it was him coming in that house. I said, "What you doing here?" He said, "Oh, I was just checking on y'all," and he left. Locksmith came, finally had the locks changed. So you get one thing fixed, you know that something else is wrong. My phone wasn't ringing. Picked up the receiver to make sure I had a dial tone because I knew I paid the bill. Hung up, phone rang. It's a friend of mine. She said, "I'm just calling to check on you and the children." I said, "Well, what number did you dial?" She said, "I can't give you the number." I said, "Why you can't give me the number?" "Well, you know, John had your number changed. And he just told me to call you to check on you and the children." I said, "So, you know my children have asthma. I need the phone number in order to give it to the paramedics in case I need to call them." She said, "I'm not giving you your number." I said, "Wait, that's my number." She said, "Look, I'm scared of John. I'm not giving you your number. Click." I called the phone company, had them to change the number. They changed the number. As soon as I hung up, the phone rang. I said, "Hello?" He said, "Who told you to change this number?" I said, "I don't need your permission to change my own number." He said, "Don't change it again." Hung up, called the phone company. Had my number changed. I hung up the phone, it rang. I picked it up, I said, "Hello?" He said, "Didn't I tell you not to change that number? Don't do it again." Hung up, called the phone company. Asked for a supervisor. I said, "Isn't it against the law?" That's why you gotta know the law. "Isn't it against the law for you to change this number for someone whose name is not on the bill?" Long pause. "Well, you know, you're right, ma'am. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna change your number and we're gonna put a code on it." As he's putting the code on it, he said, "You know what? He's calling right now to get your new number. So let's hurry up and make this happen." So had my number changed. After that, my son got sick. He had an asthma attack. So my brother went to the school, brought him home. John found out, came to the door. He said, "I need to see my son." I said, "John, he's fine, but you just can't roll up. You gotta call and find out how everything is." He's pushed his way into the house. I fell back, hit my head on the fireplace. He ran. I called the police. They came over. They said, "Well, Miss Muhammad, is his name on the lease?" I said, "Well, yeah." They said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. He has just as much a right to be here as you do. But do you have a restraining order?" I said, "No, I don't." They gave me the paperwork for a restraining order. Went to court, 10 questions. I'm sitting crying, thinking, 12 years, 3 children, a business, how did I get here? Called a friend of mine, she said, "Fill out the paperwork, you need a paper trail." Did that. The judge said, he read my petition and he said, "You really need to get away from this guy." I said, "Your Honor, I'm really trying to do that." He gave me a lifetime restraining order, but still had to have visitation with the children. So we had to find someone to pick them up, to bring them to him, and vice versa. First weekend went fine. Second weekend was my mother's birthday. She wanted to go to country buffet. So you gotta have them back by 5:30 on Sunday. 5:30 Sunday came. The guy who picked them up gave me a note with $2 and it said, "Happy birthday, Grandma." I said, "Where are my children?" He said, "You need to call John." So back then, I know I'm telling my age, we did not have cell phones. We had pagers. So I'm blowing up his pager. He calls at 7:30. My son is on the phone. I said, "Ask your dad what time you coming home." Say, "Mom, Dad said we'll be there at 8:30. So 8:30, no children. Blowing up his pager. 11:35 he calls. He says, "We're en route from Seattle. We'll be there shortly." I said, I'm hanging up the phone thinking, something's wrong. He was supposed to be across the street. How you get to Seattle, which is 45 minutes away one way? Next morning, no children. I'm thinking it's Monday. He's gonna take the children to school for me. I went to the school. She said, Ms. Muhammad, your children are not here, but you can call back or come by whenever you want to. I went that whole week. They never came. I called the police. They say, well, Ms. Muhammad, do you have a parenting plan? I said, well, we were getting ready to go. The window of opportunity. He took the children and they were gone. I called people around us. They said, well, John told us you was gonna say all of these bad things about him, but you know what? At least you just get to cook for one. Snap out of it, go back to work. Why are you tripping? At least they're with their father. Stop communicating with them all together. I was signing for a package for my mother for Mother's Day and I passed out. My cycle wouldn't go off. Took me to the hospital. They told me I lost 3 units of blood and they had to admit me into the hospital for a blood transfusion. They did that. While I'm in the hospital, my phone rang. It was John. He said, how you doing? I said, I'm good. How's mom? He said, how's mom? I said, why won't you let the children call me? He said, we don't always get what we want, do we? See, John, we had a conversation in the garage. He said, you are not going to raise my children by yourself. You have become my enemy. And as my enemy, I will kill you. I say, well, because I was terrified, I say, well, I've been sleeping with the enemy all this time. What else you gonna do? He's charged me. I ran to my brother. He left the house. I said, John's gonna kill me, he's gonna kill me. He said, girl, John ain't gonna kill you, he's just playing. I never went to my brother again for help. Because you don't know the John I know. And if you don't believe me or if you're not favorable to me, you have automatically taken the side of the abuser. So I did not go back to him. So while in the hospital, I hung up the phone. The nurse said, what's the matter? I said, can you trace the call? She traced the call to a woman who called the hospital for John. So they told me I needed to be taken to another room because my mother called the hospital and said that John called her and said he is on his way to kill her daughter. So when they took me to the other room, they took my name off of the register, posted a guard outside my door, and told me that anybody that was coming up needed to send their ID. So social worker came and said, we have to move you. Okay, we have to move you. 3 things you need to do. First thing, you need to change your name. Change it to a name that if anyone calls you, you will respond. So my safe name is Mildred. Second, we're going to bring you clothes because you can't dress the way that you were normally dressed for fear that he may recognize you. Third thing is the hardest to do of all, and that is you have to disconnect from everybody that you know. You have to go into hiding because no one can know where you are. So after I changed my clothes, they took me out the back door to a car that was waiting. They told me to slouch down in the front seat, but I was looking at every open window, every rooftop, because John's motto was 1 shot, 1 kill to the head, never leave an enemy behind. So they took me to a shelter. And while I'm in the shelter, I'm thinking, how did I get here? So on that shelter note, you know they're talking about they got a shelter, right? So pull out y'all things, you know. Donation, but don't think of this as a donation. This is an investment, because when you invest in something, you want a return. The return is you assisting women and children in moving to a better life, a safe environment where they can prosper and thrive to the next level. So, and when you make an investment, you know it's not a one-time thing, because you got to keep checking it, making sure you're getting their return, making sure you need more money if they need more money in order to help these women. So when you know somebody that's a victim of domestic violence and you trying to find a place for them to go, you know that investment you just made, you just invested into your friend, your family, in coming to this organization that will help them in having a better life, so you don't have to do the work, right? Because You don't want a victim come and stay with you, right? Because you don't want the abuser coming after you, right? Right? So invest in this organization so that they can help women and children, because I was in a shelter for 8 months. While I was in the shelter, I got my divorce, writ of habeas corpus, that meant anywhere they found my children, they needed to pick them up and bring them back to me. Washington State had just passed a law stating that if you are a victim of domestic violence, you can leave the state of Washington without telling the abuser, and you will not be charged with kidnapping. And I had all of my paperwork notarized. My sister called me and said, Mama's sick. Can you come to DC to help me? I went to DC to help my mother. I called the FBI, asked them, told them I need help in finding my children. They said, well, how do you know your children are no longer in the country? I said, well, my cousin is a private investigator. He says when the trail runs cold, that means the people that you're looking for are no longer in the country. They took my paperwork, mailed it back to me in 2 weeks, and said, Ms. Muhammad, we're sorry we can't help you. What we want to do is send you back to Seattle, because this is an ongoing case. So I called that agent, explained to them I'm in hiding, he's going to kill me, he has my children out of the country, and he's looking for me. They said, well, Ms. Muhammad, since we know he's looking for you, what we want to do is we want to put you in the middle of a parking lot and use you as a decoy. This way, we can lure him out. I said, excuse me, it's going to be a headshot. You're not going to know which way the bullet came from. They said, well, we're just trying to help you out. August 30th, I get a call from the executive director saying, Millie, we found your children. You need to fax all your paperwork to Detective McCarthy, which I did. They went to the school and got my children, told me I needed to fly back to Tacoma, which I did. John was in the courtroom. I'm shaking like a leaf on a tree. Judge said, we're here today to decide who gets custody of the children. John said, Your Honor, she already knew what those children were. I don't even know why we're here. He said, we are here today to decide who gets custody of the children. And since she did her paperwork pro se, which meant I did it myself, and it is in perfect order, she will get custody of the children. He had to sign a document, flipped it back to the court, case dismissed. We go outside in the hallway to find out where the children are. My attorney's in front of me, my advocate is here, and I'm here. The hallway, opening of the hallway is behind me, courtroom door is here. So as she's calling, I feel a presence, and I turn, and it's John, and I take off down the hallway. My attorney and friend looked at me, they looked at John, and they ran too. We all ran around the corner, looked back at John, he put his hand on the courtroom door and said, gotcha. My attorney said, oh, hell no, you got to get out of here tonight. So went to social services, picked up the children, called my mom and said, Mom, I got them. Unfortunately, my mom passed before my children were able to see her. I said, you know, Grandma held on long enough to make sure that you guys were okay. And as soon as she knew that, then she let go. So September 2001, we head back to BWI, Maryland. Fast forward to the shootings. They told us to look for 2 Caucasians in a white box truck. I was looking for 2 Caucasians in a white box truck, and I was looking for John. They were looking for 2 people, I was looking for 3. October 23rd, ATF knocks on my door, say, Ms. Muhammad, when was the last time you seen John Allen Muhammad? My hands started sweating. I said, why are you asking me about John? I said, well, you know, we just want to know when was the last time you seen him. I say September 2001 at an emergency custody hearing. So we need for you to come down and answer some questions. So I go down and answer some questions. They say, so have you heard about any shootings in any other areas? I say, no, sir. So as an agent that was walking back and forth, he stopped. He said, look, Miss Muhammad, we're just gonna have to tell you. We're gonna name your ex-husband as the sniper. I said, what? My head hit the table. They said, well, do you think he would do something like that? I raised my head. I said, well, yeah. They said, well, why would you think that? I said, because we were watching a movie. I don't remember the name of it, but he said, I could take a small city, terrorize it. They would think it would be a group of people, and it would only be me. I asked him why would he do something like that, and he changed the subject. They said, well, Miss Muhammad, didn't you know you were the target? I said, well, no, why would I think that? I said, well, there was a man shot 6 times, took his laptop and $3,000 right down the street from you. There was another man 2 miles from you, shot in the abdomen. Miss Muhammad, you were the target. Would you like to go into protective custody? I said, you gotta ask me that? I said, well, yeah, because some people don't want to go. I said, okay, do you know where he is? No, ma'am. Have you caught him? No, ma'am. And you still have to ask me? Yes, ma'am. Yes, I want to go into protective custody. So we go get my children and my sister and brother-in-law. We go take us to this hotel. I still don't know where it is. Get there, turn on the TV, and the first time they're showing his picture on TV, walk up to the TV screen and say, what happened to you? My son crying on one bed, my daughters are crying on the other. Pull them together. My daughter said, Mommy, what did Daddy do? What did Daddy do? I said, Daddy killed innocent people. They cried themselves to sleep. I got a pillow, went into the bathroom, turned on the water in the tub and the sink, sat on the floor, and screamed into the pillow because I didn't know what to do and I didn't know who to call. The next day is when they caught him. My sister came in and she said, ABC is on the phone. I said, how did they get my number? How did they get your number? They said, Miss Muhammad, we're so sorry for the tragedy that you and your children went through. We want to fly in all your family members. All if you give us exclusivity of your story. I say, ma'am, I don't even know what exclusivity means. All I know is that I need to protect my children, so I humbly decline your offer. As we were moving along, I was trying to find counseling for my children. I think I must have came across every unethical counselor in the DMV area. One counselor was referred to us, and he told my son he wanted him to get in contact with Lee Malvo so that he can help him to write a book. So I went to the library, I got a book on counseling, and I learned how to counsel me and my children, myself. I figured if anybody's gonna mess them up, may as well be me. As we're moving along, they wanted to know, is it okay for me to love my dad? Is it okay for me to say he's my dad? I said, it's okay for you to love your dad. It's okay for you to say he is your dad. We will not take responsibility for his actions. He made a conscious decision to do what he did, and we will not be held accountable, nor will we be held responsible for that. So now my son is 28. He attended Louisiana Tech. He's a manager at Sunglass Hut. My daughters, one attended Cleveland State, the other one attended Baldwin Wallace. They both sing classical music in 8 different languages. So I told them that we are not going to be defined by their father. We are going to be defined by what we do. And so if you are a victim of domestic violence, am I in good time? Okay. If you are a victim of domestic violence, please go to CASA, CORESSWC, and help and invest in this organization. Because I can tell you that when I lived in the shelter for 8 months, I looked at the shelter as a womb because I needed to be nurtured, I needed to be protected, I needed to understand my pain, and I needed to get a handle on what it is that I needed to do next. I needed to understand that the abuse is not my fault and that I am not to be held responsible for somebody else's actions. And in a shelter is the best place in order to understand that about yourself, so that once you leave, you don't want to come back, because the money is not in survivorship. It is not. It is in prevention. It is in victimization. And once you leave that organization, whatever care that you were receiving, they have nothing else for you. So you are stumbling. And most victims, when they see there is no light at the end of that tunnel, will go back. I would rather be beaten than to have to go and live under a bridge with my children. The third leading cause of homelessness is domestic violence. So we need to, as a community, because there's no time in our community has domestic violence ever been this bad. For whatever reason, we're starting to hate each other instead of love each other. And we have to come back to understanding, using effective communication, not using it as a weapon to harm each other, but talk to and not at. So thank you so much. I couldn't bring any of my books. I'm still standing. But I asked you to go to my website, mildredmuhammad.com, sign up for my newsletter. When I leave here, I'm going to Virginia, after Virginia, DC, after DC, McCord Air Force Base, Charleston Air Force Base, because the military, the domestic violence and sexual assault is rising. And if we don't stop it in its infant stage, then instead of the 1 to 8, we're going to be dealing more with the 9 to 15. So if you know someone that's a victim of domestic violence, I'm going to leave you with this. You may say, I want to help, but I don't know how. I want to speak up, but I don't want that madness at my house. You know what I'm saying? That's my girl, that's my boy, you know? So this is what you do. First thing you need to do is get your boundaries in check. Ask yourself what you will do, what you won't do, and what you can't do. If you have a significant other, talk it over with that person. Ask what can we do together to help this person. Now, once you got your boundaries in check, take that person to lunch, not dinner, because dinner time is checked. And you don't want to cause or make that person to feel that they're too scared to go home late. But lunchtime, everybody's out. So take them to lunch. Don't waste time with, so what's going on? You already know what's going on. You know, just end the conversation. Don't say, can I ask you a question? Because when you do that, people's guards go up. Because I don't know what you're getting ready to ask me, and I don't know if I want to do that. So in the middle of a conversation, ask, how can I help you? And wait. Don't give, well, I can do this because you don't know. Every victim wants to leave. Every victim doesn't know how. And nobody ever asks, how can I help? But you're quick to say, you need to leave. Why are you still there? Well, what if I don't want to leave? That means you're not going to be my friend? What if I decide to stay? Isn't that my choice? Even if I'm a victim, I have a choice. Don't take my choice away. Ask me, how can I help you? Now you got your boundaries in check. You know what you're gonna do. Well, can I borrow $500 to get this apartment? So you've decided I can't give you any money, but you know I can't do that. What else you got? Well, can I come and stay with you? Well, you've already decided that they can't come stay with you. Well, I can't do that. But what I can do, I have a resource for you that where this shelter is that maybe you call them, they can help you. Don't leave a victim in the wilderness crying for help like Hagar. Don't do that. Give them a resource or help them the best that you can. Because they have more shelter for animals in this country than they do for women of domestic violence. But why should a woman need to go to a shelter anyway? So with that in mind, again, invest. Do the UFC, the United, and put them as I think they have a number where you can have an automatic donation coming out of your check that goes directly to them. So thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for coming to this event. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to get started with our award ceremony, and then after that, we're going to start our little boogieing a little bit before we ask you guys to leave. So I would like Lisa to come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lisa Williams, and I'm the committee secretary for AWS. Before I present this award, I'm just gonna let you guys get up and move around just a little bit because I know you ate and you wanna get up. So, at your table, you see a mask there on the bottle. So I would like for you guys to get up, look up under your chair. If you see or find a ticket, you get to keep that mask. Let's do this quickly so we can move on. Okay, and for the winner, can you just stand if you have the ticket? Okay, are all the masks taken? If you are at a table and the ticket is not under your chair and you see vacant chairs there, you can check those chairs to see if you have that ticket. Look at Mildred. Okay, so let's move this on along. I would first like to call the co-owner, Maritza Brown, President Maritza Brown.
Hello again. Hello. Hi, everyone. You enjoy the food? Wasn't it fabulous? I don't eat any meat anymore, but the beef and the chicken was looking really great. Lorraine, can I see you for a minute? So every organization, every year, there's someone that just cut the crust, right? Just that one person that you wish everyone's doing a great job, but there's always that person that you can call no matter what time you call her, no matter what time you text her, she's going to come through. Not only is she formidable for the Abused Women Committee, she's always there for me for all of the other committees, for general operations, for financial literacy. We were just an anchor. I could not survive without. So last year, our President Award went to Dr. Kimberly Crowley. So this year, the President's Award for Abused Women go to you. I appreciate
you. That's my cousin.
That's my girl. She's my sister, and she's my girl. So when I don't sleep, she doesn't sleep. And I just want to present you with this. It says, presents Lorraine Ulmer Award, Abused Women Support President's Service Excellence Award. May God continue to bless you and give you strength. So you can respond to all those phone calls I'm doing. I really, really appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Okay, congratulations, Lorraine, again. Our first 2018 Presidential Award goes to an achiever in her own right. The presidential recipient was molested by her biological father. By the time she was 12, he deemed her his sex slave. And at the age of 15, she became pregnant with his first child. I would like to present the 2018 Presidential Award to Aziza Kabibi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank the Circle of Rainbow Sisters for this honor. This is my first award for the work that I do. As Ms. Williams said, my name is Aziza Kabibi, and I am the founder of Precious Little Ladies Incorporated, where our mission is to strengthen the bond between mothers and daughters to combat child molestation, domestic violence, and sexual assault. So I take this perspective in attacking this horrible issue that we have in our society, because in my household, I was raised by the person that abused me. I started suffering the abuse from a very young age, and along with the sexual abuse, my father was horribly physically abusive. I find it ironic that the theme for this event has to do with masks. I remember once I lost my kids to the system during the process of me trying to escape my father, going to therapy and going to parenting classes. After he beat me, he bruised my eye, swelled my face, and I had to put on makeup before going to therapy and everything that the judge required me to do to get my children back. And I had to act like the things that was happening to me wasn't happening. It was hard for me to reach out for help because I was raised with the idea that I deserved what was happening to me. And I think that this is a problem that a lot of women and a lot of people who are victims deal with. At the time, I was a victim. Now I am a survivor. And I know Ms. Muhammad, she mentioned the idea that every victim of domestic violence or any kind of abuse wants to leave. But I do believe that often it's not that a victim wants to stay, it's that they want the abuse to stop. So a lot of times women stay in their situations hoping that the abuse would come to an end, or hoping that the man or the woman or anybody who is holding a certain amount of power over them would just finally change their minds or get better or atone. Well, in my situation, that wasn't the case. My father believed that he was Christ reincarnate. When I started having children, even though he didn't know that my daughter was going to come out with no deformities or any kind of disabilities, he then decided that it was ordained by God. So in addition to the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, I also suffered from spiritual abuse, financial abuse. My father told me that no one in the world would care about me and no one would want me. I was homeschooled, kept out of society for the most part, and on top of everything else, my father was known in his community and even to the public as an award-winning music video director. He directed the Fugees' Killing Me Softly music video. So in my mind, I saw this man who was being blessed by God. And everything that he told me must have been true. And I believe that a lot of women, and speaking to a lot of women specifically who have children in the situation, they kind of absorb their roles. And I believe that women in general in society are so used to taking on the sins that our society has. So one of the things that I do in my organization is to encourage and build confidence in everybody that we help, both male and female. Because in education, you build confidence. Knowledge is power. And domestic violence and sexual abuse is not about the sex or the pain, it's really about power. And if you can empower yourselves, and if women and people who are in a position where someone is abusing the power that they have over them, then they could find the strength to get out of the situation. So, I put myself through college. I graduated with 2 bachelor's degrees. Magna cum laude. I'm pretty smart. I wrote a book called Unashamed, A Life Tainted to help raise awareness on the issue and tell my specific story from my perspective. And every time I speak, the reporting, it's been told to me, especially in East Orange, New Jersey, where my organization was founded, that the reporting in abuse from victims and from survivors goes up. Because I do believe that God has chosen me to share my story and be a conduit for someone who is unashamed. I know that a lot of women are ashamed because we do tend to take on what is happening to us. In my situation, my mom took on a lot of the shame that was associated with being a victim. So I've taken everything that I have learned and that I have experienced with open eyes, with my memories, and I speak about it openly with no shame whatsoever. And I encourage everyone that I speak to do that. Educate yourself so that you can be better prepared to help someone, to help yourself if need be. And we have Google. At that time, there was no Google. When I tried to escape, when I finally did get away from my father, it was a long process. You'd have to read my book to find out how that went. But I did not have the resources. I didn't know where to go or who to talk to. So I had to get my children birth certificates, social security numbers, because my father delivered all of my children. I have 4 children for him. And I had to learn the system, but in doing that, I became more and more confident. So I really encourage women to speak to their daughters openly about sex, because the more you educate yourself, the more comfortable you are talking to your girls about domestic violence, sexual assault, unwanted touch, specifically. Because with children sometimes are shy about talking about their sexual parts because our culture, specifically African American culture, tends to teach our children not to talk about those things. So it's really about communication. So I'm not going to take up much more of your time. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Normally when I do speak, I open up the floor to at least 2 or 3 questions. I don't know, Dr. Rowland, if I have time for that? I'm sorry? 1 or 2 questions? 1? Okay, so 1 question. Anyone? My children are, well, my oldest is 24 and she works. My son is actually going to the same school that I went to study communications. And one of my daughters from my father passed away in 2010. And I did get married, so I have a young son. We're no longer together, but he is the light in my world. All of my children are. And my last daughter, she is talented. Everyone helps me with the organization, and we're just happy to have our life, to decide what we want to do in our life. So again, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone here. Thank you for the honor.
That one's yours. This one? Yep. Shakira.
Our second 2018 Presidential Award goes to one of the finest police officers of Plainfield, New Jersey. She is an advocate against domestic violence, has helped thousands through her hard work and dedication. Just a few highlights of her career. She was briefly assigned to the Plainfield Operation Ceasefire Unit. In June of 2014, she was assigned to the Newark Office Federal Bureau of Investigation's Organized Crime Task Force. In January of 2016, she was promoted as sergeant and assigned to the Criminal Investigations Bureau, Domestic Violence, and Megan's Law Unit. There, she currently investigates disorderly persons offenses to indictable crimes, assaults, terroristic threats, criminal mischief, burglary, stalking, and harassment. She helps victims obtain temporary restraining orders against their perpetrators. Sergeant Elamine also explains resources available, safety plans, and assistance needed for the victims and their families. She works as an on-call supervisor in the General Assignment Bureau overseeing several detectives to help manage their assigned cases. Also, Sergeant Elamine works with the Union County Prosecutor's Office and New Jersey State Parole to help keep track of the local registered sex offenders in Plainfield. She has received numerous awards throughout her career, and her bio goes on and on and on. So at this time, we're honored to present the Presidential Award to Sergeant Elamine. Before I let her speak, I'd just like to mention that our mayor of Plainfield, New Jersey, Mayor Adrian O. Mapp, has presented Sergeant Elamine with a proclamation. And I won't read it all, to consider our timeline, but we're also presenting this to her as well.
Wow, I don't even know what to say. Oh, gosh. Thank you so very much. As mentioned, I am Detective Sergeant Mahasin Elamine of the Plainfield Police Division, and I humbly accept this light shining on me today, the Unmasking Domestic Violence Award from Shakira. Thank you so much, and the organization. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for honoring me. That was a little process, but we made it through. Again, I am grateful to be seen and acknowledged. Because of this necessary and spectacular, empowering work impacting our community, let us all take a moment to send love and light to all who struggle in silence. Can we do that? Okay. I have wholeheartedly dedicated my time, energy, and expertise to spot and secure the safety of my victims who are involved in domestic violence, their well-being over the course of 10 plus years. So I too have experienced domestic violence, and I don't really talk about it that much, but I have experienced it throughout my relationships. Mainly in the beginning before I started my career with my ex-husband. It was verbal abuse, it was physical abuse, it was psychological abuse. I've been through it. And it was the last incident that occurred where I was sleeping in bed and he came into the room and he dragged me out of the bed from my legs. And just dragged me on the floor, dragged me out the room. And he closed the door shut and he locked it. I had no clothes on. So I'm in the room, I'm outside of the room, no clothes on, banging on the door, trying to, ask him to let me back in. He refused, he went to sleep. I was so embarrassed. I wasn't brought up that way. I didn't want to tell my parents. I didn't tell them all the incidents that occurred between my ex-husband and I because I wasn't brought up that way. I didn't see that. So I didn't even know what domestic violence looked like. I didn't know. What is this? So I had to call the police at that time. Again, I was embarrassed. I had no clothes on. I had to find a blanket from my daughter's room. At that time, she was around 3 or 4 years old. So I had this blanket wrapped around me, and I'm talking to the police officers, and still I was protecting my abuser. I didn't want him to get locked up. So I left. I took some belongings. I left, took my daughter. I went to my parents' house. And that was the time I had the courage to leave that marriage and to divorce my ex-husband. So, thank you. So once I came onto the job, it's a coincidence how I was thrust at this position to be in domestic violence unit and to take on this responsibility and these duties. And I love what I do. Right now, I speak to young girls on a middle school level, high school level, about domestic violence and sexual assaults and what that looks like. Because again, I didn't have that growing up. I didn't know what it looks like. So I'm allowing these young ladies to talk about their experiences, if they have any, which they usually do. They see me after I give my presentations, and they see me and they talk to me about their domestic violence that they see at home or what they're going through or the sexual assaults. And you know, I take it from there, from a law enforcement perspective. So I just wanted to share that story with you on, you know, some people may ask, well, how are you relatable? How do you know what the victims go through? Oh, I know. I know. So again, you know, I just want to also acknowledge some of my mentors, retired Sergeant Brown, my father, retired Captain Elamine, my lieutenant who's not here, Johnny Henderson, some of my mentors throughout my career. I want to acknowledge my family members here, my father and my mother, Fahima Elamine, Tashika Allen, who works with the YWCA. Yes, and Renee McCleary, she's also here helping and supporting me. So, wait, hold on, I'm sorry. And continuing, most importantly, I would also like to thank my survivors who gained the inner fortitude to fill and project their inner warrior to reclaim the life they're meant to live. I would like to leave you with some quotes and mantras. The first quote is, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from one another. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude to those who have lit the flame within us," by Albert Schweitzer. And also too, a positive mantra. If you guys could put your hand on your chest above your heart and repeat after me. I am here. I am here. I am whole. I am whole. I am healing. I am healing. And no one has the power to take that from me. And no one has the power to take that from me. Thank you. And thank you.
Our 2018 Community Service Award goes to an individual that has overcome extraordinary obstacles when going after her passion. She is the founder and CEO of Access Family Services Incorporated, located in Essex County. She has spent over 15 years working for nonprofit organizations supporting the needs of women and children suffering from the effects of domestic violence. She was the former Director of Community Relations and Domestic Case Manager at DASI in Sussex County, where she helped secure $500,000 in funds for domestic violence. Wow. Yes, that deserves a round of applause. She also served as chairperson for the NJCBW Women of Color Task Force. She has a Master of Administrative Science and a Certificate in Nonprofit Organizational Development. We are honored to present the Community Service Award to Annette McDonald.
A pleasant good afternoon to all who is in this room today. I want to first say thank you to the organization, to Dr. Kimberly, to Lisa, to Maritzka, and to all of you who helped to put this event on today. I'm wearing purple today, and some of you are as well, and it was a choice. Many victims of domestic violence does not have that choice. My mom survived over 40 years of domestic violence. So I've been a child who witnessed her abuse for many, many years. As an immigrant, I had no idea, as the sergeant said over there, what domestic violence was. For over 40 years, until last year, my mom passed away. She raised 5 of us, and her name was Sylvia Burbick. I didn't know, and again, the sergeant said passion, purpose. I had no idea that I would be standing here today as the founder of Access Family Services and a 15-bed domestic violence shelter. It's interesting, my children's father, who also passed away, said to me before he died, he said, Annette, you have one of the strongest spirit of anyone that I know. He said, no one can break your spirit. But he also said, I've even tried to break your spirit, but no one, and I repeat, could ever break your spirit. 3 days later, he was dead. That was the year 2000. After a year of going through deep depression, I reflected back on my life and decided service and service to my community was going to be part of how I was going to heal myself. I began volunteering at a domestic violence safe house, ironically. Had no idea, again, what domestic violence was. Being with women and children in the shelter gave me a new perspective on life. And I felt to myself, after laying on the floor with some children and rocking these babies coming into shelter on Sundays when I volunteered, and looking at the other staff members struggling to support these organizations, I started to wonder, my gosh, they can barely survive. They're women only making $9 an hour doing this most incredible work of saving lives. And I decided from that moment on, just reflecting back on my mom walking on the Grand Concourse in the Bronx, trying to find a safe place for us to live, trying to escape that abuse, because many times, Aziza said, sometimes you don't want to leave. Sometimes you just want the abuse all the time. You want the abuse to stop. But she tried to get out, and there was no organization to help her. So with Circle of Rainbows of Sisters, helping women, such as the women who are accessing our shelter that is now called Sylvia's Place, I'm here to say I am grateful for that. I have women that Dr. Kimberly and Shakira has come to our shelter to work with these women, to try and encourage them and guide them and give them whatever knowledge they can give them, so that they can move towards self-sufficiency and independence. They do vision boarding with these women. It's incredible because they come in, and as said before, it's very challenging picking themselves up and getting to the next level. And so all of you in this room, I am grateful for the support that you're giving to women and victims and men, because we cannot forget men are victims as well. Yes. Right? Yes. But again, this mask, all of us wear. We need to unmask it. We need to be real. This happened to all of us. It's happened to the cop, the detective sergeant over there. It's happened to Aziza. It's happened to me. It's happened to Dr. Kimberly. And so it takes a community. It takes collaboration. It takes every single one of us. It takes our ministers. It takes, it takes everybody. Because this is a crime that knows no boundary. It does not discriminate, and it kills. So again, please, there's an envelope on everyone's table. What this organization is doing is to try and help women to get to the next level after they have accessed our shelter. That is what this organization is doing. And for that, I thank Dr. Kimberly and your organization, everyone, for recognizing the work that we do in this community and recognizing myself and the importance of domestic violence awareness and prevention. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay right there. One thing before we start with our dancing for the last hour that we have left here, and I hope that you all stay, I want to talk a little bit just for a second what we do. See, you have a lot of people that talk the talk, okay? We walk the walk. We don't talk the talk, we do what we have to do. Everyone in this organization have 2 and 3 jobs. I myself travel all around the country, but I still take the time out to sow these seeds so that God can continue to bless me. So on that note, I want to thank you and for all the work that you've allowed us to come in and do at the organization. But I also want to give you 3 gift certificates for 3 families. As they leave the shelter, they will be able to go and to purchase furniture for their new place. All right, so I'm going to have the DJ start the music. We're going to do our 50-50 raffle. Last call for raffle tickets? Last call? Raffles? Okay. All right. Oh, we have pillows in the back. So a little bit about 1 minute about the pillows.
Yes, thank you so much. There are some fabulous pillows in the back. They're for sale. What the women and children, the families in shelter have started doing is we're getting donated fabrics from a company in New Jersey, and they have sewn those pillows, handmade those pillows so that we can sell the pillows to raise funds for the services that we provide. The pillows are $25. It's amazing. I have 11-year-old boys who's never picked up a needle in their lives. And they're picking up needles and learning how to sew in shelter. And that's the result behind the tables over there. So please help to support them. Thank you.
Great. And one more thing, just to tell you guys, because we don't keep any of the money that we earn. It all goes toward making more money, and it goes toward the women. So just to let you guys know, I forgot to tell you that in each card, there's $300 in each gift certificate to just start them on their way with purchasing some kind of furniture. And this will go on, not just the end of the year. We will be giving continuously throughout the year. So thank you so much for coming and participating. We will also be doing this next year at the same location. So if you have not signed the email, put your name and phone number, let other people know about our event, because it's very important. This is a service event. We service each other. We are here today because we have stood on the shoulders of others. If you have stood on the shoulders of others, you have a reciprocal responsibility to live your life so that others can stand on your shoulders. I live by that, and you should live by that. I hope that you all live by that. Thank you for all of your giving today, and we appreciate you for coming out. We have one more person that wants to say something, and then we can start dancing.
I just want to say Access Family Services in that shelter could not operate without the many volunteers. So volunteers, we thank them tremendously.
Okay, I just wanted to add one more thing. Sometimes we can't always donate financially, money. So what we can do for some of the women that are in homes and the shelters, we can donate clothing, we can donate shoes, we can donate pocketbooks, we can donate anything that will help them maybe go on an interview, maybe go sign up for school. So I have a place here that I would like to recommend. It's called CNP Treasures. It's at 14 Northfield Avenue in West Orange. The contact number is 973-380-3044. And if you have any clothing, we all have some stuff in our closets, in our drawers, and shoes that we no longer wear. Instead of throwing that stuff out, how about donating it to these women that's in these shelters? That would be a great cause. Thank you, and let's dance.
Finally, I want to thank Motif, our band, for doing a phenomenal job. And let's give them a round hand of applause, please. They were amazing. In the back, they also have cards, so if you all are interested in purchasing or actually hiring them for their services, I think that they're definitely worthy of it. And finally, we have a generous offer. Malik Carey, remember, he is the gentleman that spoke to you earlier. He wrote the book In My Father's Shoes. If you are interested in obtaining the pre-sale book, go and see him to the far left. He will donate 10% of his proceeds to our organization. Thank you so much, Mr. Carey. Okay, it's the orange ticket. The orange ticket is the wine basket. The 50-50 is the blue ticket.
Green.
Oh, the green. Okay, the number is 014783. 01, orange ticket, orange. We have a winner. 014783.
We got a winner? Let me see.
Thank you.
Wait a minute.
Come on now.
014783.
We have a winner.
We got a winner.
Okay.
Congratulations.
All right. So who's next?
Okay.
So give somebody else the opportunity to pull a ticket. Pat, come pull the next ticket. We got too many winners at that table. Table's hot. All right, this is for our final basket.
Our wellness basket.
Our wellness basket. The number is 014803.
Wow, we got a winner.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, where's the next basket?
We got the skincare. It's skincare. It's like skincare. Moisturizer skincare.
I'm leaving. I'm sorry. Don't give me that face. Let me get this right. So these are the kinds of announcements I also like to make. We have a new member. So she is joining the organization. She heard what we're doing, and you now have another Abused Women Committee member.
We'll talk to you before the end of the day. Okay. All right, our final,
No, 2 more bags.
we have 2 more baskets.
Gift bags.
Gift bags. The ticket is 014935. 014935.
Orange ticket. Still the orange.
Orange ticket.
orange ticket. 014935. No?
Okay. All right. Pick another one.
You had a good grade.
Let's verify. Come on up.
Oh yeah. 4935.
Congratulations. Thank you. You can keep it. All right, the last gift bag, skincare gift bag. The numbers are 014758. 01.
She was in the bathroom.
Congratulations. Let me see the ticket class. Yep, we've got a winner. All right. Finally, we have the 50-50. That's the blue ticket.
Okay, so the winner will receive $121.
So the winner will receive $121. It is the blue ticket. Go to that table over there and have somebody pull that ticket. Oh, Shakira.
That's one of the honorees. Oh, we're gonna have one of the honorees pull the golden ticket. Pull that ticket out of here.
$121 you will leave here with. All right, we have a number, and it's a blue ticket. Green, blue, green, blue, green. It's not orange. Okay. All right. So the number is 339285. 339285.
We got a winner, a staff.
Oh, a staff. Well, all right. Come on up. That's what I'm talking about. Nice. Let's see. 33928. Congratulations. Yay. That concludes the gift baskets and the raffles and everything. So I'm going to ask my DJ to please take us home.
Thank you so much for coming out to support this cause. These women need your help. We have a great team, and there's always room for you. Visit us at CORESSWC.com. That's CORESSWC.com.
domestic violence or causes that are about helping abused women escape their circumstances and get a fresh start is a very worthwhile endeavor. And because this is becoming rampant in our country today, particularly in communities that are represented by low income and minority women, it's important that we take a stand and unite to make certain that we are creating options for these women so that they can also recapture their dignity and get a fresh start in life.
Well, I can do this because you don't know. Every victim wants to leave. Every victim doesn't know how. And nobody ever asks, how can I help? But you're quick to say, you need to leave. Why are you still there? Well, what if I don't want to leave? That means you're not going to be my friend? What if I decide to stay? Isn't that my choice? Even if I'm a victim, I have a choice. Don't take my choice away. Ask me, how can I help you? Now you got your boundaries in check. You know what you're gonna do. Well, can I borrow $500 to get this apartment? So you've decided I can't give you any money, but you know I can't do that. What else you got? Well, can I come and stay with you? Well, you've already decided that they can't come stay with you. Well, I can't do that. But what I can do, I have a resource for you that where this shelter is that maybe you call them, they can help you. Don't leave a victim in the wilderness crying for help like Hagar. Don't do that. Give them a resource or help them the best that you can. Because they have more shelter for animals in this country than they do for women of domestic violence. But why should a woman need to go to a shelter anyway? So with that in mind, again, invest. To do the UFC, the United, and put them as I think they have a number where you can have an automatic donation coming out of your check that goes directly to them. So thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for coming to this event.
If there was such a thing as a wish come true, I would wish for you to love me just as much as I love